politics. Extra, extra, read all about it. Dating coach bashed by disgruntled pet sitter.
Last summer, I searched online for a pet sitter for my 2 cats, my kids, my darlings, whom I dared not leave alone for longer than an overnighter. I had begun a romantic relationship with a lovely gal at the end of the Metro Union Pacific North line in Wisconsin. Our needs for one another demanded that I stay at least 2 and sometimes 3 or 4 nights. The first sitter I found, let's call her Obnaxia von Disturbenfrau, played hide-and-seek with me for a few days, first agreeing to do the job, then rescheduling our appointment to meet the cats, then backing out altogether the day before my trip. Over the phone she said, I've decided I'm not going to do it. I just don't feel right about it. I don't think we're a good match. Based on what? I replied. She repeated, I just don't think we're a good match. I had to remind myself that I was talking to a business acquaintance and not someone I'd met on crazygirl.com. My gut told me that she was afraid to come over and be alone with me, a man, in my apartment to meet the cats. While I sympathize with this notion, I live in a gay neighborhood, for Christ's sake, which these days in America means clean and pretty and mostly safe. Not to mention, hadn't she ever heard of pepper spray? Or if she's that worried, she could always carry one or more concealed weapons, which are now more plentiful than ever in Illinois, thanks to our gun-loving, entitlement-hating downstate Republicans. Regardless, my trip was set, and I was suddenly without a pet sitter. When I mentioned this to her, she hit me with a sing-songy, sorry, before hanging up. I was furious, but I had no time to fume. The next pet sitter I got a hold of answered the phone, came over that day to meet the cats, and took excellent care of them. In other words, she was a normal professional. I highly recommend her, Tina at Andersonville Pet Sitting. If you go to her Yelp page, please notice that all 7 of her reviews are 5 stars out of 5 stars. After my trip to Wisconsin, I made time to fume about Obnaxia. I was curious to know if she was in the habit of creating drama with her customers, or if she had reserved that behavior for me. Turns out it wasn't just me. There were several negative reviews on her Yelp listing, and in each case she had used the reply box to write lengthy justifications of her behavior, placing all blame on the disgruntled customers. And so I felt justified in venting my frustration over her rudeness to me with a brief review, 154 words, that ended thus, quote, I can see from this review form that a few other people have had unpleasant encounters with Obnaxia, and she denies everything, so I have no doubt she will do the same here, unquote. Which is exactly what she did, to the tune of 587 words. But I didn't find out about her reply until 9 months later. I wrote that review in August of 2015. I had let the matter go until this past May of 2016, when I got an email notice that someone had left a 1-star review of one of my older entrepreneurial endeavors on Google My Business, which is an online business directory much like Yelp. It was my old friend Obnaxia dropping a turd on my dating coaching service. A hit piece, Yellow Stream Media. And if you're not sure what I mean by those terms, please listen to the last 3 episodes of the SRP radio podcast. This is the 4th and final installment of our series on political hit pieces. Everything we've shared with you on the subject thus far builds to this absurdly ignominious moment.
Beware! Greg the Maestro has disgusting, oppressive views toward women. He openly, unabashedly refers to women as bimbos and bitches and thinks he is a gift to them and that they owe him their affection. On his personal blog, he has written a post about how he seeks revenge on all the women who have turned him down, that he would show them who's boss, and that they would be sorry one day when he became everything they always wanted. It is beyond disturbing. These are not attitudes that anyone, let alone a dating coach, should have.
And that was the massive 1-star bowel movement that Obnaxia von Disturbenfrau deposited on my Google My Business listing for Maestro's Method, a business with which I haven't been active in 5 years. No clients, no changes to the website. Nevertheless, this review just popped up a few weeks ago. After reading it, I did some housework to clear my mind. And then I wrote the following in the reply box. Quote, Reader beware. The above review was written by a pet sitter I had a horrible experience with. I wrote a scathing review of the experience, and now she is attempting to exact her revenge by willfully misreading and misquoting something from my blog. The blog as a whole is comprised of mild humor and inspiration on sex, religion, and politics. While I do challenge social norms, the overall tone is intended to be compassionate and uplifting. The article to which she refers is self-satirical, making fun of myself for my youthful awkwardness with women. To purposely characterize this piece as being pejorative towards all women, rather than to some women, as well as to me, is a big stretch." Unquote. And then I left a link to the original piece from which she had created this hit piece and invited people to read it for themselves. And you can do the same on our website, sex-religion-politics.com. The piece itself is called Rigorous Honesty, which of course is ironic given the Herculean effort by Ms. Disturbing Frau to create dishonesty. Keep in mind that her attack on me occurred 9 months after I wrote my review on her Yelp listing. In other words, she stewed for 9 months. Then she took the time to Google me and find the SRP website, as well as my old dating coach website, which again, I haven't been active on in 5 years. She also took the time to sift through the SRP website, which is extensive, to find an article written also 5 years ago. Then she took the time to find some kind of business listing on which she could write a negative review to give me a taste of my own medicine. The SRP website is not listed on Yelp or Google My Business, but Maestro's method is. So finally, she took information from my SRP website, recharacterized it to sound as damning as possible, and used that distortion as a review of my dating coaching service, even though she has never even attempted to use that service. She wasn't really reviewing my dating coaching business. She was just pissing on me for pleasure. Now, the fact that I enjoy that sort of thing is beside the point. But that, my friends, is Yellowstream Media.
That's fucked up. In more ways than one.
In preparing this series of articles, for which this is the 4th and final installment, I went back to Ms. Disturbing Frau's Yelp listing to double-check my memory. She currently has 16 reviews. 5 of them are 1 star out of 5 stars. 2 of them are 2 star. And 3 of these 1 and 2 star reviews were left in the months following mine. That's 7 out of 16 blatantly negative reviews, all followed by her lengthy rebuttals. What's to be made of the hoopla I've created in this 4-part series over this nasty exchange between me and Amnatsia? Well, for one, I've flashed a light on political hit pieces great and small and how they affect all of us. And I hope you've enjoyed learning about this stuff as much as I have. But finally, and for one last time, we live in a world where anyone can say anything about anybody to almost everybody. This means we all have a huge responsibility every time we place our cursors over the send or publish buttons. As you can tell, I enjoy pulling apart conflicts and learning from them. This whole website is devoted to boldly going where mortals fear to tread in search of nuggets grasped by few. Nevertheless, and perhaps the best way to duck out of this topic at this time, is for me to share with you advice given to me by a Zen master. Advice that I rarely follow, but often ponder. And that is, before we speak, we must ask ourselves this 3-part question. Is what I want to say helpful to this person at this time?